Greetings everyone, I'm Kevin and it's time to play YaTBRzy for October. So as always, before we start playing the game and spinning the wheel and all of that, let's go through the books that were chosen for me for September and see how did I do. The first prompt that I got was Indigenous and I chose a YaTBRzy and I did finish it. Then I got the prompt Aliens and I chose A Close and Common Orbit. I haven't started this yet, but there is a week left and this is the only book left on my TBR, so I am going to finish it. Then I got the prompt Black Cover and I chose Fireblood and I did finish it. The next prompt that I got was Pink Cover and I chose Girls Save the World in this one, and I am around 150 pages into this, so I will finish it in the next few days. So I am not worried about that. Then I got a title prompt or a title card for Timekeeper and I did read it. And I got another title card, but this time for Before You Say I Do by Clara Lydon, and I did finish it as well. And then another title card, this time for the Never Tilting World. I DNF'd this after 70%. I was like 75% into it. And I had no idea what was going on. And I was like, I am 75% into a book, but I don't know what's happening. That's not good. So I decided to DNF it and maybe I will pick it up in a later time. I don't know. And the last book that I got was for the prompt Selma Lagerlöf, which is a classic Swedish female author, one of the greatest female authors of all time, like together with Astrid Lindgren. For her, I chose Nils Holgersson's Underbara Resa genom Sverige and I did finish it. Then we get a little cameo from my little wheel and I got In a Cafe for the monthly challenge. And as you know, I was not thrilled about that. Oh my god. But the books that I chose to read during that, Nils Holgersson, Before You Say I Do, YaTBRzy, and VA book 1 and 2. And I finished all of it. So I completed the entire Read 5 challenge for the month. And because I have 1.5 books left, I am not going to take a punishment card because, as I said earlier, I have a week left of September before October, obviously. So I am not worried that I won't be able to finish them. So what a lot of people do not know or have not realized or something like that is that October is the last month that I will do YaTBRzy for this year. And that's kind of why it was so perfect that the sheet of paper only has 5 columns, because that way I could only fit in 10 months. And like that was perfect because I'm not reading that much in November because of NaNoWriMo. I am participating. I participated last year as well and I'm planning to participate this year too. And so because of that, I don't want to stress with reading so much, because for YaTBRzy, I choose either 7 or 8 books specifically for YaTBRzy, and usually I add more books for my reading challenge wheel. So I read like 10 books for YaTBRzy specifically for like this TBR video. And in all of November, I am my goal is to read 5 books in that entire month, which is a lot less than my average reading in a month. But that's because I will be focusing like everything on NaNoWriMo, or as much time as possible I will be focusing on NaNoWriMo. I will still read because I love reading, but I won't pressure myself to read 8 books so that I won't have to take punishment cards. And for December I am planning to do a kind of end of the year special, which I have been planning that since January when I did my first video, or I did my first video for January. But I had kind of like an idea of what I'm gonna do for YaTBRzy in December. I won't play the game, but I will play a game. You will just wait and see what I will do there. And so it wouldn't make sense to me to skip November and continue playing in December. So I decided I'm gonna end the YaTBRzy year on in October and then start again in January. So what does that mean when it comes to finishing the TBR for this month? I can just say that if I don't finish all the books, I will get a punishment. When I do my TBR video for December, for what I'm gonna read in December, the books that I won't finish this month, October, will affect that. Even though it will kind of reset before January when I start the new year of YaTBRzy, these books still count. Like, I'm not going to pick all of these books and be like, it doesn't matter, I'm not gonna get a punishment anyways, because I am. I will be participating in the Magical HOPATHON, which is hosted by Cerys, and I will have all of the links, information, all of that down below, so you can just check that out if you're interested. But this is a Walt Disney inspired readathon, or more specifically Disney World inspired. I don't know, is there a difference in Disney World versus Disney Park? But anyways, I will be participating in this readathon, and the whole point of it is that it's Walt Disney Studios, I think, will be celebrating 50 years beginning of October. I don't know, I don't remember if it's 50 years, but they have some kind of anniversary in the beginning of October, and that's kind of why this readathon is, instead of being like a short readathon, it's the entire month. So the entire month of October, and this readathon has kind of like this beautiful map that is the world, the park that is Walt Disney World Park. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Then there are 4 main areas within the park. We have the Magic Kingdom, we have Epcot, we have Animal Kingdom, and we have Hollywood Studios. And these 4 areas have their own set of prompts, and these prompts are either attraction prompts or snack prompts or show prompts. And the snack and the show prompt can be doubled up, so I can read a book that fits a snack prompt and a show prompt. And the reason for that is because you can bring a snack to a show, but you can't bring a snack to an attraction. Like, you can't go on a roller coaster with ice cream, you know, and you can't watch a show at the same time as you go a roller coaster. So that's why you can't double up attractions with anything, but you can double up snack and show. And there is also a park entrance ticket, because you can't enter the park unless you have the ticket. And in order to get to each of these parks, you have to read a specific book that will be counted as your entrance ticket. I'm just going to go through like the entrance tickets now. For the Magic Kingdom, the entrance ticket prompt is to read a fantasy or a magical realism book. The entrance ticket for the Epcot park area is to read a book that has been translated. The third park is Hollywood Studios, and the entrance ticket for this is to read a book that has been or will get a TV adaptation. So it will become a movie, or it will become a TV show, or something like that. And the last park area is the Animal Kingdom, and the entrance ticket prompt for this is to just read a book that is centered on nature, that it involves nature in some capacity. So now that I've gone through the Magical HOPATHON readathon that I will be participating in October, let's spin the wheel. 50 pages a day. So what that means is that I will be reading 50 pages a day for the entire month. At least 50 pages. Like, it's at least 50 pages. I don't have to stop at 50 pages. Like, if I read 50 pages and I feel like I want to read 50 more, I can. I don't have to stop at 50 pages, but I have to read at least 50 pages every day. And for this challenge, even though it's a month-long challenge, I will have to pick 5 books that I will have to read that way, 50 pages a day. And it's also those 5 books that I will be reading for the monthly challenge reading vlog. So I'm gonna pick 5 books after we play the game that I will read for the reading vlog 50 pages a day. So now that all of that is out of the way, let's do the first roll. Roll 1. I need 6s, so I'm gonna keep, whoops, that's a 6. I'm gonna keep the 6s. So roll 2. Oh my god, okay. What if this is a 6? I already have a Yahtzee, but it fell off. So let's do this again. A 3. Okay, so that is 4 6s. That's amazing. So that would be 24 here. So 24. And that means a yellow card. Roll a dice. Okay, so we're gonna roll this dice. And the number that it lands on is the letter that the book has to start with, and it's Q. So the book or the author's name has to start with a Q. What are the chances that I would get Q? I mean, in this case, it's a 6 chance, of course, but still a Q. I can just start off by saying that I have my TBR shelf. This is my TBR bookshelf, so all of these books I have not read. I don't have a single book that starts with the letter Q, but I have an author whose last name starts with the letter Q. So I will be reading Late to the Party by Kelly Quinlan. This is going to be kind of like a second chance because I didn't really love She Drives Me Crazy by Kelly Quinlan that I read for my 48-hour reading challenge, reading vlog. You can see that up there. And I didn't really love that. So I hope that I will love this a lot more. This is kind of like a closeted lesbian who goes to a party and she's really like, she's an outcast. Like she doesn't really fit in that, you know, extrovert crowd. And she gets close friends with a gay guy like they meet at this party and they become friends. And it's like, from what I understand, it has a lot to do with queer friendships, which I think is good. So this is the first book on my October TBR. Roll number 2. Whoops. Roll number 2. And I'm gonna keep the 2s. Enter 2. And then the last roll. A 4. So we got another 4 of a kind. So that is 8 going in here. So that is another yellow card. This time we get POC. Looking for my shelves, I found that I have quite a lot of books with people of color as main characters and as the authors. So what I decided to do is I'm gonna pick a book based on a magical HOPATHON prompt. The only snack option for Epcot is World Showcase, and there are a few countries that you can choose from that the book has to have a connection to that country, and I chose Love and Other Natural Disasters by Misa Sugiura. The reason for that is because Japan was an option to like read a book connected to, and Misa Sugiura is Japanese American, and the main characters are also Japanese, if I remember correctly. Yes. So I'm reading this for POC, for the POC prompt for YaTBRzy, but also for World Showcase, for the snack prompt for Epcot. Roll number 3. What do I need down there? I need ones up here, and then I need a pair, 2 pairs, 4 of a kind. I did not notice I needed 4 of a kind, because then the 6s would have been great. But okay, 4 of a kind, and then also a big straight. So I'm gonna keep the 5s in hope of, I have a pair now, so maybe 2 pairs or 4. And 1 fell off, so doing this one again. It's a 1, so we have 3 5s, and then last roll. Why do I do that? 5. Okay, so we get 4 of a kind, 4 5s. So that is 20. That's good, I think. And that is another yellow card, and we get Indigenous Author. This was actually really difficult to do, because every single book that I own that I know with like 100% certainty is written by an indigenous person, I have read. So I had to do a lot of searching and see what is available to me as, you know, audiobooks and ebooks. After going through a lot of Native American and Native Canadian stories, I decided that I wanted to read a story, an indigenous story or a book by an indigenous author that was not European. Like, I read 2 books by Sami authors about the Sami experience, contemporary and historical. I didn't want to read an indigenous author who is indigenous to Europe or a place, a part of Europe, and I don't want to do that with North America either. So I decided I am going to read by Maori. That's the, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I decided I want to read a book from another indigenous perspective than the ones that I am more known, that I'm more known, like books, stories that are more known to me, like Native American stories I hear more actually than Sami stories, or other indigenous peoples of Sweden. Like, I don't really know that much, but I decided I want to learn about indigenous peoples in another part of the world, and not specifically about being indigenous, but just their voice. So I found this anthology called Stories on the Four Winds, and it is a collection of 20 stories by 20 different New Zealander authors, and actually like a lot of them are indigenous. So I will be reading the entire anthology because I just find it really interesting to read, because I've never been to Oceania. I don't know that much about New Zealand, living in Oceania and their experience. Like, I don't know that much about that. So I'm really excited to read this anthology. Round 4, roll 1. I need a 1, but I also need a pair, 2 pairs, and a big straight. I have 3 threes, but I don't want to do anything with that. I'm gonna keep the 1, so I will finish up there first. Okay, now I'm gonna attempt a big straight. So number 4. What do I do if I don't, though? If I don't, I will cross out once. I got a 5. Nope, I got 1 pair. 1 pair. That is 10 going in here. I was saved by the 5, as always. So that is another yellow card. And we get another roll a dice. So 1 to 2, the book has to start, the title has to start with a noun. 3 to 4, it has to start with a verb, or 5 to 6, an adjective. So I'm rolling this for what kind of word the title starts with. I need to get better at this. So take 2. 4. So that is a verb. I feel with this specific one the same way that I did with both indigenous author, but also with the letter Q, because I thought this would be easy, and then I took a look at my shelf and it was not that easy. Like, I went through every single book, and it wasn't until the end of the second shelf that I found a book that is questionable, because I thought that maybe like I can count one of these, because the rice is a verb. So like the rice is a noun because it's, I don't know how to like, but the rise is kind of like the escalation of, but rise in itself is a verb. So I was like, I can maybe, but then I went to the absolute last book on my TBR shelf, like the absolute last book. Would like to meet. Would is an auxiliary verb. So it is a verb, so it counts. This is a romance. We have this kind of like Hollywood, not Hollywood, but like a television play thing setting. Some kind of show being run. And we have our main character, Evie, and she is trying to get a summer job. And she gets one. But she will only be able to keep the job if she convinces the screenwriter to write a rom-com. The thing is, this guy does not believe in romance and he doesn't like rom-coms. And so what Evie is trying to do is they go to different locations and pretends to have meet cutes so that he can fall in love with the genre of rom-coms and get inspired to write his own, and somewhere along the way they fall in love, of course. And I have been craving a good rom-com because like romance books are my comfort read, and that's a big reason why I love the genre romance, and why I tend to give romance novels a higher rating generally. So I'm excited to read a rom-com that has a girl who wants to save her career, who does not want to lose her job, and a guy who does not believe in rom-coms but has to write the screenplay for a rom-com. So I'm really excited to read this. I think it sounds really, really fun. So yeah. Round 5, roll 1. I'm gonna keep the 5 and the 6 for 2 pairs. 5 and 6. So we have 2 pairs now. Is there anything else that I need with that? That wasn't a big straight. Am I stupid? That was the full house. Oh my god. I just realized it was full house. Like this is full house and not a big straight because I have both the straights. Ugh. Okay, so 5 or 6. A 2. So then we get 2 pairs. Was that roll 2? I don't remember if I got this on the first roll or the second roll. Let's say it was let's say I'm finished. So here, 22. Yeah, 22. And that is another yellow card. Yellow cover. Yay. My favorite color. And we're back yet again with a surprisingly difficult prompt. I was so happy. It's my favorite color. Yellow is my favorite color. But like, this would have been perfect because it's definitely yellow. And I was just like, but this is going to be easy because yellow spine. Nope. Yellow spine. Nope. And then I saw this yellow cover sequel. Another yellow spine. Nope. Then I had another yellow spine and another not yellow cover. So looking through all of my books, there wasn't really that much that was yellow. Like I had a few that had yellow on the cover, but they weren't mostly yellow covers. So the book that I will be reading for yellow cover is It Started with a Secret by Jill Mancell. This is a rom-com that is quite big. It's over 400 pages and it has very, very small print. This follows Lainey, who lost everything and she has to relocate to live by the sea and has to work. Like she gets her dream job, relocates to living by the sea, which, yes. She has to now kind of in some capacity deal with this actor, like a retiring actor's family and secrets, while falling in love with his grandson. And I don't really know what job it is, but she deals with this actor's family and organizes the family and things like that. So I guess maybe this house she's living in is the actor's family house. I am really excited to read this. I think this is going to be a lovely rom-com that is going to be very like atmospheric, set by the sea. I love a good setting by the ocean, by the beach, in a big house. Really excited about this. So round 7, next to last round, and roll 1. I need ones and a full house. So let's go with the 1 now. No, I want to go with the full house because ones don't really matter. Sorry. And 2 6s. So what I need now is 2 5s, or 1 5 and 1 6. I got 1 5. Okay, so I'm crossing out 1. So, and there we have the full points for the top, 72 points and 50 in the bonus, which would have meant that I would be able to roll for an advantage card. But since this is the last YaTBRzy of the year, I am not going to do that because on January it's reset, you can say. And that is a yellow card, and it's graphic novel. So I'm gonna read a graphic novel, and no, because as you probably saw, I crossed out once, and if I cross something out, I have to take a blue card, which is a punishment card. And I did not realize that until I finished the last roll. So let's just forward until the moment that I realized my mistake and what punishment I will be getting instead of reading a graphic novel, which would have been really nice considering the TBR, but it's fine. It's fine. Oh my god, no, I just realized I didn't take a punishment for crossing out the 1. So because I accidentally took a yellow card even though I crossed out, which is a punishment, I am putting this back and I am going to shuffle this. I am not going to take another card. I'm going to take 2 punishments because the last 2 rolls I have crossed out. So I can just put it over there, and before I start again in January, I will shuffle. But the punishment for crossing out the ones is over 800 pages. We are back here with another prompt that is too difficult. Why does it have to be so difficult? I don't have a book over 800 pages that is not Priory of the Orange Tree, and I have read that, and I am not planning to read it again this soon. Like I read it this summer, like I read it in June. It's too soon to go back to it. So yeah, the longest book that I have apart from that book is 700 pages. So what I decided to do is compromise. I am not going to read one book over 800 pages. I am going to read 2 books that together will be over 800 pages. So for the prompt over 800 pages, I will be reading The Bookshop on the Shore by Jenny Colgan, which is 407 pages long. This, just like it started with a secret, has tiny print. So yes, I feel like it's fine. And the second book that I will be reading is Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. I don't know if it's pronounced Dade or Daddy or Daddy. It can't be Daddy, right? No, okay. So this is the second book that I will be reading. It is actually exactly 400 pages, that it ends on 400 pages because acknowledgements is on page 401. Together, these 2 books make 807 pages. So I will be reading 2 books, but I, for the sake of this, will only count them as 1. Last round of YaTBRzy for 2021. Roll 1. I need a full house. Do I want a full house with 2s? I mean, why not? I didn't get it anyways, so I'm just crossing this out. And this blue card is recent DNF. Why? I am not liking the prompts at all. Recent DNF I have on Goodreads, because I use Goodreads. Storygraph didn't work for me when I tried it, so I'm still using Goodreads. And on Goodreads, I have currently reading, want to read, read, and DNF. And the most recent DNF was The Never Tilting World by Rinchapeka, which was on my TBR, but I DNF'd because I didn't understand what was going on. So I am going to give this book a second chance and read it again, and hopefully this time I will understand. Like, I feel like chances are I will enjoy this time reading it a lot more than the last time that I read it, because this time I have already listened to 75% of it once. So I have more background and a lot more to kind of lean back on when it comes to the story and the characters. So that, I feel like that is going to be to my advantage. So I am adding that book to this TBR, I guess. Yeah. Hi. I'm sorry for the frame change and the change in outfit. It's the next day. I had to recharge my battery and you know, all of that. Here we have the 5 books, because these 2 is one book. This is one book for the sake of this TBR game, which means that I have to finish both to count. So here are the books chosen for YaTBRzy, as well as Stories on the Four Winds and The Never Tilting World. So those are the 7 books, 8 if you count all of them, that I will be reading for October in YaTBRzy. So then let's go through what 5 books I'm going to read for the 50 pages a day reading challenge reading vlog. I need to find a better name for it. So the 5 books that I chose to read in the reading vlog. It started with A Secret, spoiler alert, Love and Other Natural Disasters. So those are the 3 books for YaTBRzy that I will be reading for the Read 5. Then we have The Last Human, These Witches Don't Burn. For me personally, autumn is cozy. It's not spooky, it's cozy. Like autumn, if I have to kind of envision setting for that season, I would say it's lying on the couch under a blanket, drinking a warm drink, either, you know, hot tea, coffee, hot chocolate, anything, and reading a book or watching a cozy movie. Like, that's autumn for me. And so when I think about autumn and cozy vibes, I think romance novels. And that's kind of why I chose so many romance novels for October, because it's the season of love for me. Like, because those books are comfort books and autumn is a comfort season. But because autumn is also a spooky season for a lot of people, even though I don't feel that way for it. And that's kind of like why I felt like I need to have a witchy book on my TBR for October. So I'm reading These Witches Don't Burn, which I'm really like excited for. It has queer representation. I've heard that it gives off Sabrina the Teenage Witch vibes, and that was very much my thing when I grew up watching Sabrina. Why did they have to ruin it with a remake? Like, why do you have to make remakes of fun and, you know, lighthearted TV shows for teenagers and make them dark and twisted? Why? But anyway, so I'm reading a witchy book, which I think is going to be really fun. So what I want to do now is just go through the books that I will be reading for the readathon, the magical HOPATHon. So starting with the Magic Kingdom, the entrance ticket to that is to read a fantasy or a book with like magical realism. So I chose to read Night Blood, which is the last book in the Frostblood series. I finished the second book in September and I really wanted to finish the series immediately, but then I just looked at my TBR and I was like, I have to wait until October and pick it as a TBR book because I had so many other books that I had to prioritize. So I couldn't like risk reading this, finishing the series, and not finish a book on my set TBR, you know? So now I will be reading this for October, and I will definitely read it and finish it because I am so excited to get to this. I really enjoyed the world. There were a lot of things with that book that I felt like I should have expected this, but I did not expect this. And I like when that happens. Like, I hate when books have, you know, revelations and you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I don't like that. And I also hate when it does not make sense. So I much prefer to be surprised and feel like, yeah, that actually makes sense, but I didn't think about it. I didn't expect this to happen, but it makes sense that it happened, you know? So that it's not, yeah, that this is going to happen and all of that. So I was very happy with that book, and I'm really excited to finish the series. So this is going for the Magical HOPATHON reading vlog as the entrance ticket. So now that I have entered the Magic Kingdom, the first set of prompts is for attractions, and the attraction prompt that I chose for Magic Kingdom is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is to read a book with multiple POVs. And for that, I chose Stories of the Four Winds, on the Four Winds, something like that. Because it is an anthology, which means that it is multiple POVs. There are multiple perspectives because it's an anthology. You see what I did there? And then we're moving on to the snacks. And for this, I chose the Cheshire Cat's Tale, which is to read a book with a sweet romance. And I chose Would Like to Meet because I think this is going to be a very sweet and heartwarming romance. The last prompt category of Magic Kingdom is shows, and I chose Mickey's Friendship Fair, which is to read a book that centers on friendship. So I chose Late to the Party because from what I know of the book, it has like queer friendship at its center. It's like follows the friendship between this, I think she identifies as lesbian, but a sapphic girl who meets this gay guy at a party, and they quickly become very close friends. And from what I understand, this is very much centered on that friendship between these characters. So centered on friendship. Then we're moving on to Epcot, and the prompt for the entrance ticket is to read a book that has been translated. And I was looking through my shelves and I couldn't find a single book that was translated. So I just browsed around looking for what kind of books I can get my hands on, either as an ebook or as an audiobook. And I found Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which is kind of like a time traveling thing set in a coffee shop. And I've heard very mixed reviews on this. Some people say that it's absolutely fantastic, and some people say that it's horrible, that it doesn't make sense, and like it feels like with this book you either love it or you hate it. But it was originally written in Japanese, so it is translated to English. At least the version that I will be reading is the one translated to English. And for the attraction prompt, I chose Soren, which is to read a book with a swoon-worthy main character. And I chose It Started With a Secret because I feel like Seth is going to be a very swoon-worthy main character. And I feel like also with this kind of romance, it's always gonna be swoon-worthy. So then we're moving on to snacks, and there's only one snack option, and it's World Showcase, and it's to read a book from specific country or has to do with that specific country in some way. And there are a lot of countries that you can choose from. I chose Japan so that I can read Love and Other Natural Disasters by Misa Sugiura. She is Japanese American, and the main characters in this are also Japanese Americans. So for Japan, this is a sapphic romance that includes fake dating, and just like it just says on the back, Nozomi has it all planned out. A summer in San Francisco, the perfect internship, fake dating the girl of her dreams. So, reading this for Japan. And for the show prompt, I chose Turtle Talk with Crush, and it's to read either a middle grade or listen to the book as an audiobook. So I also picked Love and Other Natural Disasters for this because you can mix a show with a snack, because you can bring a snack when you watch a show. So I decided this is available as an audiobook on Scribd, so I enjoy reading books both via audiobook and physically. So I think I'm going to do that kind of hybrid reading for this book as well. So reading this for Japan and for audiobook. And then we're moving on to Hollywood Studios, and the entrance ticket has, of course, to do with movies. The entrance ticket is to read a book that has or will be getting a film, TV adaptation. Hitting the silver screen is what it says. So I chose Heartstopper by Alice Oseman because I know for sure, I know 100% that this is it's being turned into a TV show, and it's the only one that I have that I can for certain say, yeah, this is getting a TV adaptation. So I'm reading this, and it feels really nice to get a graphic novel on this, even though I almost got graphic novel, except I didn't because it doesn't count. So I'm getting a graphic novel anyways. So the first Heartstopper book, this is a queer male romance. We're following a guy who has a crush on this rugby player, and they become friends, and it's a slow burn thing. I've heard that it's great. I've heard that the characters are amazing and that their story is beautiful. So I'm excited to read this. Then for attractions, I chose the prompt Star Tours, which is to read a book that will take me out of this world. And I chose the Never Tilting World because it is set in another world. So it will definitely take me out of the world, out of this world. You know what I mean? Then for snack, I chose the carrot cake cookie, which sounds delicious, to be honest. And that prompt is to read a book that is chunky, over 400 pages. So I chose spoiler alert because, as I talked about earlier in this video, this is half of over 800 pages, because this and another book is 800 pages. But this is over 400 pages, so I will be reading this for that prompt because it is over 400 pages, obviously. And the last prompt for Hollywood Studios is a show, and I chose Fantasmic, which is to read a book with a show-stopping cover. And I feel like a lot of books on my TBR fits this, but I chose These Witches Don't Burn because I really like this cover. I really enjoy this cover. I feel like it gives off great vibes. But this looks amazing in my opinion. This looks amazing. So show-stopping cover, yes. Then we're moving on to Animal Kingdom, and the entrance ticket is to read a book that is set in nature or has something to do with nature. So I chose The Bookshop by the Shore because by the shore, nature. Then for attraction, I chose Flight of Passage, which is to read a 5-star prediction, and I chose Record of a Space-Born Few by Becca Chambers. This is the third book in the Wayfarers series, so that I will pick this up in October for a 5-star prediction because I think this is going to be 5 stars. I really love this series, so I am excited to continue. I don't really know what this is about. I am not reading the synopses because I haven't read the second book yet. But I really enjoyed the series, so I am putting this as a 5-star prediction, even though I haven't read the second book and this is the third book. Then moving on to snacks, I chose the prompt Jungle Juice, which is to read a middle grade. And I chose The Last Human because this sounds amazing. This is a middle grade following a robot that is kind of going around and they find a human girl and they're like, what is this? And I think this is going to be really fun. I love science fiction and I love when robots are involved in some way. I also love when aliens are involved in some way, but here it's like focused on robots and the relationship between these robots and this human girl. So middle grade. And then for the last prompt of the entire readathon is shows, and I chose Rivers of Light, which is to read a book with a beautiful cover, and I chose The Last Human. So I did the same thing as I did with Love and Other Natural Disasters. I mixed a snack with a show. So I will be reading this for middle grade and beautiful cover because the cover is stunning. Like, look at this. It's beautiful in my opinion, so I'm really excited to read this. So here are all the books that I will be reading in October, as well as Stories on the Four Winds, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and The Never-Tilting World. So all of the books that I will be reading, this is not going very well. But as always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. And please let me know what are your reading plans for October. Are you a spooky autumn kind of person or a cozy autumn kind of person? Let me know down below, and if you've read any of these, and please share what your thoughts are. I'm always interested in hearing other people's opinions and have like a conversation about that. But until next time, good reading. Bye.